involved in several social welfare projects in India, including the Barshana Eye Camp, which is free cataract surgery for villagers, and training the spiritual and palliative care departments of Bhakti Vedanta Hospital, which many of us have heard of, in Mumbai. She's dedicated to showing the profound yet simple power of emotional maturity, and has authored 3 books: Revealing the Heart, The Practice of Compassion, Finding the Gap, Some Truth About the Lies We Tell Ourselves, and Entering the Gap, More Truth About the Lies We Tell Ourselves, and this book, What to Do About Sue, A Karmic Journey from Brainwashing to Healing. She's a chaplain in training with Karuna Care and a member of HEARTS, which stands for Holistic Emotional Awareness, Relational Training, and Support. And what's not in the book, but I'll just say very briefly, is that I consider her to be one of the 3 essential devotees that made the Bhakti Center come into existence, happen, and thrive.
That's news to me. I just want to say a prayer to Srila Prabhupada. I was born in the darkest of ignorance, and you are kindly and continually opening my eyes daily with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances at your lotus feet. Mama Vishnu Padai Krishna Staya Bhutale Shrimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nityanande Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharane Nirvishesha Shanivadi Pastajadeshtarane. So this is really so nice to be here. As I was listening to the recording of Prabhupada singing, really what I felt was this incredible lone, quote-unquote, old man courageously, and single-handedly coming to America in a cargo ship and starting an international movement in this very place here. It's incredible. Being in this place reminds me of also, I went to the Chipawada Temple in Delhi, and that's where Prabhupada printed his first volumes of Srimad Bhagavatam. He was writing, typing, carrying the paper to the printer, getting it printed, overseeing the printing, editing, did all the editing, overseeing the printing, and then taking the whatever it was that he was printing, the daily Back to Godhead magazines, distributing them himself, managing the money, doing his finances, everything single-handedly. Amazing. And then he came here. I call him a lone man. Of course, when you hear him chanting Hare Krishna, you hear in his voice this incredible faith in Krishna. Just this incredible faith in Krishna, because a lone man couldn't do this. But he had this incredible commitment and faith in his Guru and Krishna. Just like, okay, you want me to come to America? Okay, here I am now. Now what should I do? Okay, now, but he did know some things of what he should do, and making this document for the International Society for Krishna Consciousness so early in 1966. Just a phenomenal step. He was making a declaration to the material energy. We are going to have an International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Like, this is my declaration. I'm putting it down in paper. I'm signing it. I'm registering it. Do you hear me? That was his declaration. And really, another quality that Prabhupada had, which really gave him empowerment, was his integrity. I mean, he was in integrity with his bookkeeping, 37 cents for a postage stamp, $2 for vegetables. Like, he kept a diary, and he kept it written down on a daily basis. The integrity of balancing the money that he didn't really have, the little bits of money that he got, balancing it, managing it, and the other integrity that he had was he lived what he was speaking. He didn't just tell us to have faith in Krishna. He emulated it. He practiced it. He prayed regularly. Even if we didn't see him praying, he was regularly praying and calling out to Krishna when he would chant. You could hear him. You could hear him calling out to Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, what am I doing here? Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare. What do you want to happen? What's going to happen from this? You know, and just incredible, incredible. I think a lot of times, you know, when we think about Srila Prabhupada, sometimes we get caught up in some of the words that he said, and we might get caught up in some of his mannerisms or some of the rules and regulations that he began with, and also we might get caught up in just, okay, I'm supposed to read his books, just reading his books. And I think sometimes we miss catching his mood, because his mood was the foundation of his movement, and really being able to like learn how to imbibe that mood in our own lives. Like, I think that's really what he wanted from us. And he instructed us, and he began this movement, you know, with a kind of a loose framework here in this place, and then he fine-tuned it, and then he fine-tuned it, and then he kept fine-tuning it, but he only had 11 years to fine-tune it. And I think it's our service to Prabhupada to continue to fine-tune his movement, you know, with that underlining foundational mood of dedication and faith in Krishna and Guru. Just that what Krishna wants will happen. How can we follow that direction with a commitment, but not an attachment? And that's another thing that Prabhupada really, really emulated. Commitment, dire commitment, over the top commitment, and yet also like a detachment, like it's like, what's really going to happen here? What's going to happen here? Now, sometimes it didn't seem like he was detached, because there were certain projects that he was really, you know, we got to do this, we got to do this. And I think that part of him came out because we were all so young and very inexperienced. And he was very experienced, especially in India. So when it came to India, he was much more in control, because he knew how to manage in India. But not that he didn't have faith in Krishna, not that he didn't emulate that faith. It was just a different environment for his followers, and he really had to do a lot more guiding in that area. But when he came to the West, and when he was with his followers in the West, and even in England, he really handed a lot of the responsibility. Well, what do you think we should do? What do you think? You all you American boys and girls are intelligent. And he really took the disciples as a gift from his spiritual master. He even said that. Taking the gift of his disciples and really, you know, allowing them to give him suggestions and following those suggestions to just try things out and see what worked and see what didn't work. And lo and behold, I mean, the whole thing with the Beatles was incredible. I mean, that's really what helped to bring me to Krishna consciousness. George Harrison was chanting Hare Krishna. Yeah, I'd gotten a Bhagavad Gita and I saw the Maha Mantra in there, but George Harrison is chanting Hare Krishna? That must be a good really thing then, you know. It's like, so huge huge moves. And it was out of his faith in Krishna that he allowed his disciples to almost kind of make the suggestions. But again, you hear in his voice a courageousness and yet a complete dependence on Krishna at the same time. And how to balance those two things out, I think that's something that we could all learn in our lives. How to balance out, you know, having the courage to make a declaration. We're going to have an international society. Like having that courage and yet having the dependence. Okay, Krishna, will my words come to fructify? And he had the confidence that Krishna could do anything and would do anything. He had that confidence, but he also had patience. And how could you tell he had patience? Because he allowed us to become initiated before we were even qualified. And he allowed us to, he just brought us into the fold and allowed us to make all of our mistakes. And he still encouraged us. I'm not supposed to talk very long, am I?
You can keep going.
Let's see what time it is. Okay, it's 7. So I just want to say 2 of my favorite sayings from Prabhupada, even though I don't really like the Prabhupada said things, but these 2 really struck me. Because a lot of times we make a statement that we should just learn by hearing, and only a fool learns by experience. Okay. However, I learned by the school of hard knocks, so I learned a lot from experience, and I had heard a lot, but I didn't learn until I experienced. So Prabhupada said, this is in the Blazing Sadhus book by Achutananda, what you learn easily is easy to forget, and what you learn with difficulty is difficult to forget. So a lot of times we pray and we ask for blessings, and we think the blessings we want are health, wealth, good luck, good wife, everything good. That's kind of like when we ask for blessings, that's what we think we're kind of asking for. But it's those hard blessings, when they come, those hard blessings, that's when Krishna can really give us untold benefits. So that's one thing that Prabhupada said that I really liked. And another one is one time he was on a morning walk with his temple presidents and sannyasis. And they were kind of pointing out each other's faults and kind of criticizing one another, and kind of to Prabhupada, but about one another. And Prabhupada turned around with his cane and he said, "You are simply discouraging one another. I have only come to encourage. I have only come," he repeated it twice, "I've only come to encourage, and you are simply discouraging." And then he turned back around and continued walking, and everybody's like, "Please forgive me, forgive my offenses, Prabhu, forgive my offenses, Prabhu." Okay, they took immediate action because that was a pretty heavy moment in their life. But it's something I think that is so relevant in our day-to-day lives with one another. It is not easy to be a soul in a human machine. It's not easy. And then we're making a declaration. I'm going to swim upstream. I'm going to be a conscious human being. And maybe a Krishna conscious human being. Like, these are huge declarations, and it's such a challenge. We've got to break through layers and layers of conditioning, and this material world, and the material energy is bombarding us right and left. So it behooves us to really support and encourage one another, and that's what Prabhupada came to do. He came to encourage us at every stage, even when we were way down here. So I really, I'm so grateful. I feel fortunate that I was initiated by Srila Prabhupada, even though I really didn't have any conversations with him like people who came in the early days. By the time I came in 74 to New Vrindavan, there were so many men and temple presidents and sannyasis, and I was in the back of the room and Prabhupada was very far away. But he did say Hari Bol to me and 2 other girls. One time we were making garlands at the Philadelphia temple. It's a big house, and it had a huge hallway. Half of it went back to the kitchen, and part of it was the stairs that went to the 2nd floor. And we knew Prabhupada was staying on the 2nd floor, so we decided to make the Roth cart garlands in the corner by the steps and by the door, just in case Prabhupada came down. And he did come down, and he paused, and he looked at us, and he said, Hari Bol. And then he left. But it just shows that he was attentive to all the details. He was attentive to three little girls that he didn't even know their names, even though he initiated. He didn't personally initiate me, but he gave me my name. He didn't know us, but he paused and he said Hari Bol. So it's just a radical personalist in this world of impersonalism. So his radical personalism, his extreme faith in Krishna, and his integrity. Those are really 3 huge qualities. Faith. And what was the other one? So, any comments, additions, corrections?
Questions?